This is John DePalma, seminarian here at St. Brendan Catholic Church. And many of you may recall that about a month or two ago, I offered a little talk about my vocational discernment, my own personal experience. And I mentioned this concept of the threefold Catholic vocations of marriage, holy orders, and consecrated life. And I talked about how I had navigated kind of the decision to, or discernment, to move toward holy orders in the priesthood. Yet most of us are kind of having a natural affinity toward marriage. This third option of consecrated life can be a little mysterious. And so I went ahead and I contacted a friend of mine who lives in Amsterdam. Her name is Isabella Winsberg. And Isabella is an attorney. She works in the world for a law firm, but she's also a consecrated sister. That's her vocation. And so I wanted to share with you a little bit about our discussion that we had on Zoom and how she came to know her vocation, how she stepped into her vocation as a consecrated sister. Now, again, a consecrated brother or sister can be a monk or religious sister in a religious community, or they could be somebody who even lives at home in their very own house and simply makes vows to their bishop. In her case, she lives with other people who have made vows with their bishop to this consecrated life. So she lives in community in the world. And so I'd just like to share this with you as another alternative view of how God calls us in many different ways to the one vocation of holiness. I hope you enjoy. Thank you, and God bless you. First, maybe we could talk about how you discovered consecrated life, and then maybe what is consecrated life in the context of a Catholic vocation. You know, some people are called to marriage, some people are called to holy orders, some people are called to consecrated life.
So I should start a little bit at the beginning, in the sense that when I was a teenager, I wasn't baptized. I didn't grow up in a Catholic family, but I spent a year in Italy for a kind of an exchange year. And during that time in Italy, I heard about the story of Saint Francis of Assisi. Yes. And I thought that was really impressive and really weird and really crazy and attractive in some way.
Leaving his father and going on his own path?
Well, actually leaving everything that I thought would make you happy. So,
right.
Money, a good job, nice relationships, your father, whatever, and choosing this uncertainty over, well, what I thought would make you happy. That was, well, for me, really something that questioned me. But nevertheless, I said, well, I'm not baptized, and I think I had a lot of criticism towards the Catholic Church because of all the preconceptions I had. I thought it was like a hideous institute that should have been abolished already a long time ago. But nevertheless, it attracted me in a certain way, and I said, oh, I really want to become a consecrated sister. Or a religious sister. And of course, I didn't understand at all what it was, and I didn't realize what I was saying, but nevertheless, there was something in me that attracted me towards that line. So everybody that I spoke with had to laugh very hard because they said, well, shouldn't you become Catholic first? And I said, no, I don't want to become a Catholic, but I want to. So,
I want to be religious, but not Catholic.
Yeah. So my order was a little bit different than normally, I think. And then, so that was the first time. And then obviously I was discovering the Catholic Church more and more, and discovering that actually all my preconceptions and all my ideas were kind of stupid, to be honest, and that faith was kind of great and really something to aspire to, and one of the biggest gifts that I could receive in my life. And so I was pretty busy with that, discovering that and studying and discovering God.
And this is in high school or college age?
This is about 18.
Okay.
18. So I was, well, in the Netherlands you call that high school, but that's about your final years. And then I was baptized and I received confirmation, and for the first time I received also the Lord during Easter 2004. And then I thought, well, Lord, here you are, my whole life. And then I had very wise people who accompanied me and who said, well, you first cool down a little bit. We'll see about your vocation afterwards, but first start and grow as a Christian. And I think that's also a very important thing for every vocation, that first you're human, secondly you're a Christian, and so discerning any vocation requires that you are an adult, that you grow. Of course, you can also be called as a child or as a teenager, obviously, but to be able to give a real answer, you need to be able to give an adult answer to the Lord. So adult both as a person and as a Christian. And of course, it's great to give answers before that.
Right.
But to really give your final yes, you need to grow as a person also. So that's what I did. But the, how do you say, the attraction, I would say, it's like falling in love, actually. You know that you fall in love. Right. And the question is it a love that remains, or what's the way that that this love expresses itself? But you know that you're in love. That's for sure. That by way of introduction, but
so you were baptized, and that was around 18 or 19 years old?
Yeah, 19, yeah.
And then you continued your studies at that point?
Yes, so I did a school of mission, the Emmanuel School of Mission. So to be really formed as a young person in my Christian faith, because actually, I had a really good preparation before baptism, but it was good to be formed in my faith and to learn how to do mission and to be together with other young adults. And also I didn't really knew what kind of studies I wanted to do, so that also helped to take a gap year. Yeah. So I did that. And then afterwards I started studying. So I studied law. Now I'm also a lawyer in a big law firm. So
and during that time that you were studying law, had you made any kind of commitment or consecration or anything like that? Or you were just kind of, you had this 1 year experience in Rome with the Emmanuel School of Mission, and then when you... It
was actually in Germany, but I went to Germany.
Okay.
Well, it's in a lot of different places, of course, but I went to the one to Germany to do a lot of music with it.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
And then when you started college, were you still kind of associated with the life of the Emmanuel Community?
Yes, I was. So in the Emmanuel Community, any form of consecration, consecrated life is always built on the normal community life. So maybe as a background information, the Emmanuel Community is a community of all states of life. So it's not like only priests or only consecrated sisters or only married people, but it's all together and we're really one community. So the question what your specific vocation is not really that important to start with. The importance is to grow together in holiness. And then the question of vocation is the second vocation, the second step.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So the first step of trying to grow in holiness and living the community life, so receiving more formation, but also prayer life, doing missions together, living together as brothers and sisters in Christ. That was the first step, and I lived that profoundly during college time. Yes. And at the same time, I started my way of discernment in consecrated life.
Yes.
So maybe to avoid any confusion, so we're not religious, we're just consecrated lay, so we try to live our baptism.
Right, because there are the religious nuns and religious sisters living in convents. We might also consider them consecrated life also, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yeah,
maybe
sure.
monks in a monastery, the brothers and the fathers there.
Yeah, sure.
They're living a certain form, I guess, of consecrated life.
Oh, certainly, certainly. The difference between me and a normal nun or a normal sister, I would say, is that I live in the world, so I don't live in a convent.
Yes.
I live my baptism, and I also do a consecration, a formal consecration in front of a bishop. But it's not. I'm not I do not have got a status apart or something like that. I'm just trying to live my baptism and to do that in the world, and of course with a visible sign that I'm consecrated to God, so people know it.
Yes.
And people can ask questions about it if they want to. But so I'm not in a convent, and I don't have taken the vow of poverty. I promise to live a simple and joyful life. And at the same time, I have to earn my own money. So it's a really nice balancing act sometimes.
Right.
What kind of choices do I make? I don't think that life in a convent is really easy, but sometimes I'm a bit jealous that you think, well, I just give away all my money once and for all, and I don't have to worry anymore.
You don't have to go to work anymore.
You don't have to go to work anymore now, and don't have to handle difficult clients or but it's a great joy to be able to live this.
So as you were advancing in your college years and becoming more involved in the life of the Emmanuel Community, growing in Christian holiness, what was it that caught your attention about the possibility of consecrated life?
Well, it was always a possibility in my head. And actually, it was also, so there, of course, there are certain ways of discernment, and you get a companionship for that also, and weekends together. But actually, my parents divorced when I was 11.
Yes. So
actually, the real click of knowing that I was really called to consecrate life, and it wasn't a negative choice or something like that, was when I spent a lot of time with the families of the Emmanuel Community. And also my formation, you've got first this time of, if you think that it's something for you, consecrated life, you get some weekends or some gatherings together. And they spent quite a lot of time on marriage and about the joy of marriage and about the beauty of marriage. And I was like, am I at the wrong formation course here? Or what is it? But actually it was very important to first discover the vocation that we've got, every one of us, for marriage, for this natural joy of marrying and receiving kids, and being fruitful in that way. And then discovering, well, maybe that is beautiful. That's a beautiful way. And I would be able to go it and love to go it, actually. But my deeper desires lays somewhere else.
Yes.
And I cannot really point out one moment in time. There were several very important moments for that. I think one of the important moments was when I fell in love, like, terribly with a guy.
Sure.
And he was in love with me too. So that was a very important moment for a choice.
Right. Yeah. So you had some decisions to make, I suppose.
Yes. Yeah. So I was about 22, and I was really just in front of either doing the first step in consecrated life or starting a relationship with the boy. So
do you think that God often works in that way? He kind of gives us options in terms of how to best live out the holiness that he calls us to?
I I don't know exactly how God works, of course, but I always think that a choice for a vocation is a choice of love. And for real love, you have to be able to make a choice in liberty. So I'm sure that God does everything that he can to make us as free as possible.
Yes.
And I'm sure he finds a lot of creative ways to do that with each individual person.
Very well put.
But for me, that was certainly way. Oh, that's my loving other sister who comes in to give me a cup of tea. So that's one of the joys.
What a good sister.
That's great. That's great. Oh, you're the best. Thanks.
There you go.
So as you kind of cross this threshold in these difficult time, maybe difficult decision of kind of which path to go, and you obviously, prayed and followed the Lord, then you went and you did make a step, a consecration.
The first one, yeah. So there are various steps, and the church in all her wisdom makes steps obligatory for any vocation, even in marriage. So you've got to, right, before you are actually there at the altar saying yes forever, or yes until death parts us. And I think that's also a very important thing. If you think that this way could be my way,
right?
If that's with a boy or girl, or with a certain type of vocation, it's always important not to stay and do nothing. I think it's always important to make concrete steps.
Yes.
And then pray again. So yeah. Lord, if this is not my way, well,
lead me in the way.
Lead me in the right way. And it's never lost time or never a lost way. I sometimes, and I think I can do that too. Wait, I'll try and make you a little drawing.
Oh, nice.
And I'm not a drawer. So if this is the two options that you have.
Yes.
And you're standing here.
Yes.
It's always shorter to go from here, and this is the challenging part, to there.
Right.
This is a shorter way than to stand here and think, oh, maybe this way was the best way, and then you still have to do
all the work.
All the work, and you will never discover whether that was the way if you don't take any concrete steps, of course.
So you got to keep moving one way or another.
You got to keep moving and finding your balance. If you do not move, you're standing still, and that's not a good thing. And also, maybe if you're moving, if you're walking, you always got this moment of instability.
Right.
If you walk, you're always a little bit unstable, because if not, you would stand.
Right.
So that's also very important in any vocational road, I think, to accept the fact that you're unstable for a moment. If you just before a step or just after a step and you think, whoa, what's happening here? That's normal.
So there's a little uncertainty involved.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Right.
If not, it's no fun. It's counting.
So when you made your first step of consecration, how long was that for? What was your level of commitment at that point in time?
So I could stop whenever I wanted, but normally it's for at least a year.
Okay.
And then you've got your formation time, which is at least 4 years.
Yes.
And you've got your first engagement, which is at least for 3 years, and then final engagement. So
first one would usually make with Emmanuel Community a step of 1 year and then 4 years.
Yes, 3 years.
3 years and then life.
Yeah.
And where are you now in this process?
So I'm just before my final engagement.
Okay.
So that's I'm quite determined. I think that I'm on the right path, but
I can identify with you.
So I really hope that I'm able to do my final engagement this year. I would really be grateful for that.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, but of course, steps are important, and it's important for us as people, but I think that you live consecration before you do your consecration. So the Lord doesn't wait for me to take steps, but he joins me wherever I am.
Yeah, so it's to live it out and practice that way of life before making this promise.
Yeah,
because it's not like the promise has some kind of magical power, right? Like,
I don't know yet. No, but I don't expect it to happen. Although grace can do a lot.
There we go. That's right.
Grace can do a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's that's the part I love most about my vocation. That it's like so surprising. For example, the fact that I'm working now at one of the biggest law firms in the Netherlands, wearing a wooden cross, like with my clients in. Being there in a very corporate environment,
yes,
doing class action law, and being able to say to my lawyers, to my clients, I'm a lawyer for you in two ways. I pray for you and I work for you. And the great conversations that I have also with my colleagues. So being able to be there, comfort people and be with them, not by my own choice, but really as a vocation, that astonishes me really.
Right.
Yeah.
Isabella, what can you impart to us maybe, and then we can kind of close things.
I think that it's important not to be afraid. Real life is sometimes difficult, of course, and that's not going to be solved if you're a Christian. Every vocation, every choice got its difficulties. But I think it's really important to just enjoy it every moment, because it's life, that's reality. And
yes.
The real joys come through also the cross. And do not let yourself be stopped by any preconceptions of your own miserable life or whatever, but let yourself be surprised. I mean, there's nothing that can happen to us as Christians, even in the worst situation ever. He's got our back. So just enjoy and go for adventure.
It's a big adventure with Jesus.
Oh, that's for sure. Yeah,
definitely.
Never a dull moment.
No, there isn't. Well, Isabella, we'll be praying for you, all of our viewers here.
Oh, thank you. That's really...
Especially as you approach the likelihood of your final vows, I guess you could call them. Your
engagement, but that's a practical term.
We just want to thank you for your time, your generosity, your vocation, and your witness.
More than welcome, John. It was lovely speaking to you.